Okay, this is part 10 of airbrushing a lionfish. Again, still working the grayscales. Again, Createx illustration paints. The Steve Gibson set of paints that I'm using, reduced at a couple of different levels depending on what I'm doing with the Createx 4012. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of the Createx transparent base, which is 5090. Sometimes when you reduce the paint a whole lot, I like to add a drop or two of the transparent base just to give it a little bit of substance when you're erasing and scratching, that doesn't come off too easily. And speaking of erasing and scratching, today's going to be kind of a cleanup day. You can see some of the areas that need to refine some of the hard edges that are on here, move some lines over, things of that nature. And I wanted to show you guys not only the tools that I use, but some of the methods that I use to do some of this kind of work. When you're erasing and you're scratching out paint, this surface is pretty durable. It's the Blair synthetic airbrushing paper. You can get it from schoolofrealism.com from Drew Blair. Sorry about that. But first of all, let's show some of the tools that I use. First, I'm going to start off with some scratching tools. And these are pretty basic. You can make them yourself, buy them on Amazon type thing. But I use a series of dowels. So this is just a plain wooden dowel, about 1/4 inch in diameter. I sharpen the points with just a regular, pencil sharpener. And then sand it down. And then normally I'll take and I'll dip the tips in like a Minwax wood hardener that you can find at the hardware store. And that's why you see it's kind of got a little glossy. But what that does, that hardens the wood up, so you're not constantly having to sharpen the tip up. Tip will wear out when you're doing your scratching and stuff like that. And so I have a variety of those. Stand them up. Different sizes. Here's another one. Again, a little bit smaller, a little bit about 1/8 of an inch piece of wood. You can see again it's sharp, but on this side I cut it into a wedge. You can see that or not. So it's cut into a wedge. Same thing, dip the ends into the hardener for that. Then an even smaller diameter one, a little less than 1/8 of an inch. Again, different sizes for different size scratchings that you can do type thing. Again, sharpened with just a regular old pencil sharpener and some sandpaper for the edge. And then this one is just a bamboo skewer. Again, sharpened. Kind of like the bamboo. Bamboo is a pretty rigid, hard type thing that can really maintain a really nice fine line. The other thing you can use this for is when you're having to hold down, a template or a stencil, that's, in your way and you can't quite get your hand in there and stuff. So you can do stuff like that with it, get it out of the way. You can use it similar to, if you wanted to spray a straight line, things like that. So that works out real well for that. The other two scratching tools, this I found on Amazon. This one has an extremely fine point. Let me see if I can. It has an extremely fine point, and it's a titanium tip. So that one you can put, I mean, with the very least amount of paint on there, a very fine hairline. And that works out really, really nice because you got the control of a pencil. It's got, you know, nice weight to it, just like handling a pen and stuff like that. But then you can, with just the lightest touch, put down a hairline. The last is really not a scratching, but it's kind of a scratching, kind of a erasing type tool. And that's one of these Euro tools. Again, if you can see that or not. But I found these on Amazon. This is a fiberglass tip. It's fiber. Something when you use it, you don't want to be around breathing it, so I recommend, you know, putting on a quick mask on. But this is a wonderful tool for scratching out and creating like hair, fine hair. If you spread it out a little bit, you can get a soft edge, build a soft edge with it. You shorten it. You know, if you shorten it up a little bit, you can, you know, you can get some fine edges on it. You can cut it with an X-Acto knife and create an edge, hard edge. But it's really nice sometimes when you come into like an area over here and you've got some lines and you want to soften it up and soften the surface back up, because one of the harder tools, you know, one of a scalpel, X-Acto or something like that, created a hard edge. You can take that out with this very light, kind of erasing type thing. It's an aggressive type tool, so you got to be gentle with it. Again, kind of, you can somewhat repair the surface with it, but it works really nice for, you know, cleaning up areas and getting that paint out of there when you want to get down. You know, so that kind of transitions into erasers. So I've got a multitude of erasers that I use, and each one kind of has. These are the Tombow erasers. One is a fine tip, you can see, pretty nice, and then one is a flat wedge. Again, same type thing. You know, you can trim the ends to do soft lines. I like the Tombow. You can, you know, hit the surface and just pick up light amounts of paint. This one, I usually cut it flat and I can create a nice hard edge with it, but not take out a whole lot of paint. Again, great tool for doing fine lines like hair and fur and things like that. So those are the Tombows. You find those fairly easy on Amazon is pretty much where I get everything, but it has a very soft type eraser for it. I also like these. This is a Faber-Castell. They call it the Jet Eraser. It's a retractable eraser. You find the inserts and refills. They got, some of them got different hardnesses. This one I found, I think at Office Depot or something like that, and it's a click eraser by Pentel. I kind of like this one too, because this one just retracts like this, but the eraser that comes with it is a really nice soft eraser, gives you a good handle. So when you really want to pick up just a little bit of paint or smooth out an area and stuff like that, it's nice and it's not real aggressive. This one, the erasers that you can find, there's, like I said, the drafting erasers you can find come in various hardness, but a little bit harder eraser, a little bit smaller eraser than this. You can see this is probably 1/4 of an inch over here with the Faber-Castell, and the Pentel is about 3/8 of an inch diameter. So again, then sticking with the erasers and the Faber-Castells, This is a Faber-Castell, and this is the 1058B. It's a pretty great aggressive eraser. It's a white eraser. Again, you can really get in there and remove quite a bit of paint with that. These ones are really hard to find. They're Eberhard Faber, which is the old company that merged with Faber-Castell. And it's a typewriter. It's called the Singlex eraser, and it's a number 10. It's a really aggressive, it's a gray, but it really gets aggressive. It'll get paint down pretty much off of anything that's, even if it's been pretty dried. Again, cut them in wedges, things of that nature to create lines. So I'll cut them like so into a wedge and be able to have a hard edge, create lines. Again, creating fur, hair, cleaning up a hard edge on something, you know, you want that. Again, most of these on any of the surfaces, you know, whether it's a canvas, clay board, paper, illustration board, and even the synthetic papers, the Yuppos and the Blair synthetics, you can use all of these tools on, but you got to understand each one of the properties of that surface and how aggressive you can be on it without damaging the surface to it. Then a couple others, erasers that I use. This is a soft eraser. I pretty much have had this forever, but it covers large areas, and again, you can do some soft blends with it. It's pretty flexible, pretty soft. It's basically the same consistency, but on a larger scale than these white soft erasers. It's basically a white soft eraser also. Your basic gum eraser. And again, different erasers can create different textures, take out different volumes of paint. And then a kneaded rubber eraser. I really like these, you know, where you can, you know, clean them up, get the gunk out of them, reuse them quite a bit. I keep mine in a little plastic bag to keep them moist, because when they start drying up, they get harder and harder to pull together and pull apart, get the junk out of them. You got to go to another one. Then lastly, in the erasers, this is one I just picked up. It is an AFMAT, and this is probably identical to the new Iwata eraser. I looked at both of them and I did not see a bit of difference. They sell for about the same price. Doesn't have the Iwata branding on it, but it's USB powered and rechargeable. Pretty nice. A very fast and smooth trigger on it, and then it comes with 2 tips. So you got 2 different types of white erasers. You got a nice wide one, again, maybe 1/4 of an inch or so on there, and then this little fine tipped one. Okay, and so very easy to change out. You just pull that one out, put the new one in, and boom, you're ready to go. You know, so if you need to get into some tight areas, you got the little small one. You get these little, you know, 1 inch or so refillable tips. Again, keep a sanding block around or something like that to where you can trim the tips off, put a little nice point on it to get in some tight areas, or create some small little highlights, you know, somewhere when you're doing a face or creating that texture. Again, nice tool, very easy to use. I think they run, I don't remember what I paid, 20 bucks, something like that, with shipping and handling on Amazon. Come different colors, I think black and white and some other colors, but very nice. Great find on that. And lastly, the harshest of the tools that I have, the old X-Acto blades. You know, X-Acto knives. I use different tips on them. So you can see all three. There, the standard number 11 blade are rounded, and then a little wedge. You can experiment with those. You can do some different things, different scratching techniques. The rounded one and this wedge one I really like. Again, if you're creating realistic fur and hair and you need a variable type line, you know, basically your dagger stroke type line, you can use these two fairly easy in one pass, creating the right angle, and get a dagger stroke out of those. Kind of a little bit more difficult with the number 11 blade on there, but the number 11 blade, you know, when you're trying to clean up some areas or create hair and fur, eyebrows, and small little highlights, you can't beat that. So we've got all of those. Then I want to show you a couple of different techniques that I also use with a combination of erasers and some shields. So this is an erasing shield. You find those online in the drafting section. These are years and years old that I've had, but they're really great for erasing out an area and blocking off, giving yourself a nice hard edge to work from. And you know, you can get in here trying to match up. It's got some curves, straight lines, some dots and things like that. But you can use these edges, these inside edges. You can use, you know, the standard, like I said, electric powered erasers. You can use, you know, your wood tools, you know, your regular, you know, pencil type erasers and stuff with there, and shield areas out, and I'll demonstrate that in just a little bit. So that's one of my favorite little tools to use, get in tight areas and protect the areas. The other things you can use are, you know, again, you can pick these up fairly easy, you know, online, are the old drafting tools, you know, these hard edge plastic and stuff. And you can see you can get in there with these French curves and stuff and get a hard edge in there, scrape out, erase out a hard edge and stuff like that. So look for those. Another thing I normally do is I'll scan those and then make up my own small Mylar type shields from that, so it matches up. So when I'm painting, I've got the same curve that I've used to scratch out a line, so they match up. And then again, you know, your basic drafting, you know, type thing, a circle template, you know, there you got ellipse templates. And since, you know, the drafting world has pretty much gone digital, the CAD systems, you can find those on eBay and stuff like that, relatively cheap, and get a full set, you know, small all the way up to pretty large ones. And they come in pretty handy. They're pretty durable. You can spray through them and stuff like that. And then, like I said, if you need a straight edge type thing, again, I'm utilizing my old drafting skills from being a technical illustrator way back when, you know, your triangles, things like that, you know, that you can, again, utilize the tools to create your effects and scratch out some areas. So having said that, let's try a couple of different things in some areas so I can kind of demonstrate to you the different uses of these tools. So let's take a look at this area right in here. It's got quite a bit of paint on it. You know, we've been working this for a couple of days now. And normally when you're trying to scratch out, you put a layer of paint, you put a light layer down, and then let it settle for a few minutes, and then you come in with your tool if you want to get back to the original hard surface and the white surface, or if you're working in black on a black surface, to get back to that original background surface. So With this and the paint being dry, you gotta get a little bit more aggressive, but it's not that you can't get there. So let's take a look at what we can do. I'm gonna use the technique of first the French curve. So I'm gonna use the French curve, and I'm gonna use like a small wood dowel. So right in here, if you can see, let me see if I can. I'll just run that right along the edge. You know, so it shields out. I'm pushing the point up against that plastic edge so that it creates the thickness of the line from there. And you can see it does a pretty good job. You know, like I said, with the paint being on there, you might have to go back in and work it a couple of times, but you can work that area, you know, pull out that strong line that you're looking for. You can taper it with the touch. And like I said, great way of, with that shield, of matching up that curve and picking out that line. So it does a pretty good job with that. So again, either one of the wood type scrapers, picks, whatever you want to call them, works real good. The other thing, like I said, is you know, go into this with the titanium tip. This is going to be a really hairline type tool. So let's find a little area that we can put a hairline down. Again, I'm going to use this. So this area right here's got a little fine hairline, and like with a very light touch, I can just run right along that edge again, and you can see I got a very fine hairline now laid down right there on that edge. Again, using that. Again, you know, you can do that. Again, one of my favorites is the shield. Shield you can do similar to what I did with the plastic French curve. You can come in with any one of your tools. Again, we'll go back to the wood one and pick up, you know, an area to clean up. And since it has like a variation of curves and straights and dots and things like that, you can figure out, you know, what matches up. Of course, you know, since it's aluminum, it's nice and hard, and you can find, you know, an edge that you want to clean up. Again, it's going to shield and give you a hard edge, but, you know, very light touch on it, pushed up against there. There you go, nice clean hard edge on there. Or you can, again, use your eraser, or, you know, again, scratching type thing where let's soften up an area. See right there, I don't know if you can see much, but again, I wanted to protect the hard edge and clean up that area. You can see very easily just soften that edge right there. Let's soften this a little bit right in here. Just taking a minimal amount of paint off of there and to blend that in there. Get it back to that white surface. Just straighten that curve out a little bit. Just brushing along just like you would with a paintbrush, very light in there, and you can see now that's softened that edge up. Again, same type thing with using the erasers. somewhere I can be aggressive. Okay, so right in here, I'm going to use the harder aggressive one. And fill in the whole thing and create that curve there. Something a little, got a little bit of straightness to it, blend. And so you can see I can, you know, blend those areas in, use the shield, come back in with this. And each eraser has a little bit different capability. Again, you can use the shield. I can use so when you want that hard, straight, mechanical type edge on there, you know, use different eraser, clean up that area, not take too much of the paint off. Can straighten the stuff out, a miscut on a, you know, on a frisket if you're using frisket, or even if you're using a handheld shield and stuff and you didn't quite get it straightened up, don't worry about it, you can fix it. A little bit of erasing, a little bit of scratching type stuff, you can fix that edge up, get it back to a nice hard flowing curve that you need, because that's what like on these spines on the lionfish are going to require to define that from the softer part of the fin. So you can see very easily to do. Again, just different eraser, different amount that it can take off. So like here, I want to soften some of that in there. And causing a little bit better blend, but stay out of the darker area right in here. So you can soften edges with erasing, create hard edges with erasing. You know, we're going to use the little electric one now. I'll show you how aggressive it can be. As you can just create some beautiful fine highlights with it. We'll work over here in the eye area, and just by a quick little tap, I can put some little dots. In there for some strong highlights. You know, it's pretty aggressive. Again, you know, if you don't like using the edge like that and you want a small dot, you know, sharpen it. You know, with that other piece of sandpaper. I've got a little grinding stone here, knife sharpening stone, sanding stone that I'm putting a little tip on it. Now you can see it's got a nice little tip on it, and now I can just create little tiny dots very gently, very easily, you know, on there. when you're trying to create textures on a face, highlights on there, you know, that's when you'd want to probably do something like that. And so when you don't have that edge on there, it's not quite as aggressive, but you still have quite a bit of control with this. I like to use two hands on it so that I can use one to keep it off the surface better, and control when I lay it down. This old drafting brush type thing, these work great. Get your light overspray that you didn't want on there, your eraser residue, things like that, off of there. Then again, like I said, you can pull out the shield. Let's see. I want to clean up that curve a little bit. Run along that edge. And you can see now it's cleaned up. Come back in. Like I said, doing any of this, you might have to come back in and use one of the other tools. Clean up the edge. You know, freehand it. Bring the curve back in if I need to. Paint out, and there you go. Nice strong highlight. Looks like there's still quite a little, just a little tiny bit in there. We'll go with the X-Acto. That white highlight in there. And once you do that, and like I said, you know, you come back in if you need to soften it with some of the other erasers, or you can soften it with your gray tones, or, you know, your white. If it's a strong highlight, you want that starburst effect, you can put your strong highlight in there and then come back and clean it up, you know, type thing. So that's basically, you know, the use of erasers. Like I said, a couple of different ways that I like to use it. Let's say I've been working, you know, these areas here. You can see putting those fins back in, so I know where they're at. Those are markers. Yeah, get the aggressive eraser. You know, can whittle it down, whatever, to get that hard edge or that width that you're looking for. You know, in the different areas. You know, once you get used to doing this, you can plan for what you're doing. Like I said, all of this paint is several days old. If you know that you're going to erase, plan to do it. So when you lay down that paint and stuff, you don't have to get so aggressive with the erasers, and it comes off very easily. It's designed to do that. When you're using the 40-12, it gives you some flex time in there. And so I can pick out all kinds of areas to get back to that white surface, because we want that white surface, you know, in there, so that when we throw our paint on there, we start adding color to it, it doesn't pick up that gray tone that's in there, and we get the pure paint color in there. That'll give you that nice rich vibrancy. Or the gray tone to tone it down and give you your dark and your subtle changes. So that's part 10. Using erasers, scratching techniques and stuff. I'm going to continue on cleaning up these areas before I press on with adding some more gray tones, because you don't want to get ahead of yourself and start laying gray tones and then start trying to erase out areas because you got them in the wrong spot. You know, that just creates work. You need to work back and forth, work your dark areas, work your light areas, work your overall painting. Don't stick to one area, move around like I have been doing it. That way you get a nice balance. And at some point, when I get this area put in and get some tones in there, I'll probably show you masking off this whole area and then painting your background in. I normally do that to get the color and try to get that contrast back in. Now, with this particular painting, there's only a slight bit of gray tones out there. That was basically to give me the shape, the outside shape of the lionfish. So what I'm going to have to do is come back in and lighten some of these tones in here, but I'm going to paint opaques. The actual color that's going to be on the with the opaque illustration paints and some wicked paint, to get that in there, to get that out of focus, depth of field, bokeh look that will give it that photographic look to it and blur out that background so that the focus is on the lionfish itself and not what's in the background, things like that, which I really love doing. I love that look in photography. Plus it gives it that realism and starts fooling your audience that this was a camera. You know, yeah, it's a camera reference, but you can replicate that very easily when you're painting. So until next time, we'll move on and I'll clean up these areas, and then we'll get the camera back on here and start laying some more paint down and giving you the next thing. Please follow me on social media. Again, the real-time videos are going to be on my YouTube channel, which is 34 Pro LLC. You can follow me on Instagram, which is 34 Pro 34, on Facebook, which is 34 Pro LLC, or Pete Sintes. I'm on TikTok also, 34 Pro LLC. And follow me, like me, comment. If you got questions, I'm more than happy. I try to monitor it pretty much throughout the day. If I see something pop up, and you know, I'll be more than glad to pass on any information, give you an answer, put you in a direction, help you with anything. I've been doing this quite a long time. So if not, I know tons of people in the industry that if I don't have an answer, I'll reach out to them and get an answer for you, or point you in their direction and have them answer it for you. So have a good day. Enjoy this. Again, like and share and help me grow my social media and follow me along this journey on this project.